Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2022-2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence, India's G20 presidency, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of campaigns. In collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. Today, we are commemorating 30th November as Day of Remembrance for all victims of chemical warfare. The Conference of the States Parties to the Chemical Weapons Convention at its 20th session decided that a memorial day of remembrance for all victims of chemical warfare would be observed on 30th November each year when appropriate on the first day of the regular session in the conference. The commemoration provides an opportunity to pay tribute to the victims of chemical warfare as well as to reaffirm the commitment of the organization for prohibition of chemical weapons, in short known as OPCW, to the elimination of the threat of chemical weapons, thereby promoting the goals of peace, security, and multilateral. The third review of the Conference of the Parties to the Chemical Convention held 8th to 19th April 2013 in The Hague, the Netherlands, adopted by consensus a political declaration that confirms the unequivocal commitment of the state parties to the global chemical weapons ban and a comprehensive review of CWC implementation since the last review conference in 2008, which also maps out the OPCW's priorities for the coming 5 years. The history of the serious efforts to achieve chemical disarmament that culminated in the conclusion of the Chemical Weapons Convention began more than a century ago. Chemical weapons were used on massive scale during the World War I, resulting in more than 1 lakh fatalities and 1 million casualties. However, chemical weapons were not used on the battleground in Europe in World War II. Following World War II, and with the advent of the nuclear debate, several countries gradually came to the realization that the marginal value of chemical weapons in their arsenals was limited, while the threat posed by the availability of and proliferation of such weapons made a comprehensive ban desirable. Adopted in 1993, the Chemical Weapons Convention entered into force on 29 April 1997. It determined for the sake of all mankind to exclude completely the possibility of the use of chemical weapons. As part of the preamble, the state parties to the convention established the Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons to achieve the object and purpose of this convention, to ensure the implementation of its provisions, including those for international verification of compliance with it, and to provide a forum for consultation and cooperation among the state parties, as mentioned in Article 8. So in 2018, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres launched Securing Our Common Future, an agenda for disarmament, outlining a vision of disarmament actions that help set our world on a path towards sustainable peace and security for all. One of the actions of the agenda includes work of the Secretary General with the members of the Security Council in order to build new leadership and unity in restoring respect for the global norm against chemical weapons. The OPCW's mission to implement the provisions of the Chemical Weapons Convention to achieve our vision of a world free of chemical weapons and the threat of their use, in which chemistry is used for peace, progress, and prosperity. Today, the OPCW member states represent about 98% of the global population and land mass, as well as 98% of the worldwide chemical industry. In 2013, the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to the OPCW for its extensive efforts to eliminate chemical weapons. Working together for a world free of chemical weapons as the implementing body for the Chemical Weapons Convention, the OPCW, Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, with its 193 member states, oversees the global endeavor to permanently and verifiably eliminate chemical weapons. The OPCW's mission is to implement the provisions of the Chemical Weapons Convention to achieve our vision of a world free of chemical weapons and the threat of their use, and in which chemistry is used for peace, progress, and prosperity. So the OPCW say the ultimate aim of the OPCW is to achieve a world permanently free of chemical weapons and to continue to international security and stability, general and complement disarmament, and global economic development. Chemical Weapons Convention, the Convention on the Prohibition of the Development, Production, Stockpiling, and Use of Chemical Weapons, and on their destruction, the Chemical Weapons Convention, or CWC, is comprised of a preamble, 24 articles, and 3 annexes. The annex on chemicals, the verification annex, and the confidentiality annex. The convention aims to eliminate an entire category of weapons of mass destruction by prohibiting the development, production, acquisition, stockpiling, retention, transfer, or use of chemical weapons by states, parties. States parties, in turn, must take the steps necessary to enforce the prohibition in respect to persons, natural or legal, within their jurisdiction. All state parties have agreed to chemically disarm by destroying any stockpiles of chemical weapons they may hold and any facilities which produce them, as well as any chemical weapons they abandoned on the territory of other state parties in the past. States parties have also agreed to create a verification regime for certain toxic chemicals and their precursors listed in Schedules 1, 2, and 3 in the annex on chemicals in order to ensure that such chemicals are used only for purpose not prohibited under the convention. A unique feature of the convention is its incorporation of the challenge inspection, whereby any state party in doubt about another state party's compliance can request a surprise inspection. Under the convention's challenge inspection procedure, states parties have committed themselves to the principle of any time, anywhere inspection with no right of refusal. Article 1 sets out the general obligations of each state party under convention. Article 2 sets out the definitions and criteria to be used in implementing the convention. Article 3 requires each state party to submit declarations to the OPCW within 30 days after the convention enters into force for that particular state party. Article 4 sets out the requirements for state parties to destroy their chemical weapons. Article 5, chemical weapons production facilities, relates to requirement for state parties to destroy and or convert their chemical weapons production facilities. Article 6 covers activities not prohibited under the convention, otherwise known as the non-proliferation or industry verification regime. Article 7 covers national implementation of the convention and requires each state party to enact implementing legislation. Article 8 establishes the OPCW as implementing body of the convention. Article 9 provides for the consultation and clarification if concerns about possible non-compliance arise. Article 10 provides for assistance and protection to a state party if it is attacked or threatened with attack by chemical weapons. Article 11 provides international cooperation for the economic and technological development of state parties. Article 7, uh, Article 12 deals with measures to ensure compliance, including sanctions against a state party that fails to uphold its treaty obligation. Article 13 deals with the relations with other international treaties. Article 14 deals with the settlement of disputes that arises concerning the application or the interpretation of the convention. Article 15 deals with the amendments to the convention. Article 16 deals with the duration of the convention and the state parties the right to withdraw from the convention. Article 17 relates to the status of convention's annexes. Article 18 deals with signature of the convention. Article 19 related to the ratification of the convention. Article 20 relates to the accession of the convention. Article 21 deals with entry into the force of convention. Article 22 deals with reservations. Article 23 relates to the depository of the convention. Article 24 covers the authenticity of text. Annex on chemicals delineates the three schedules and shows list of toxic chemicals and their precursors. Verification Annex sets out all of the detailed procedures to be followed by the state parties and by OPCW inspection teams during verification, inspection, activities at chemical weapons facilities or sites and industrial facilities. Confidentiality Annex guarantees the protection of sensitive national security related information and confidential business information during transparent The shadow cast by chemical weapons over modern history has claimed countless victims, both civilians and soldiers across the globe. Just mention of certain cities, Hyper, Halabja, Sardas, and Gauta evokes painful images of suffering and death. The OPCW honors the memory of the victims of these attacks through its mission to eliminate these weapons from the world. Our commitment So the day of remembrance for victims of chemical warfare was organized by United Nations as a way of honoring all the lives lost as a result of chemical weapons. Chemical weapons were first invented by 1918 by a German chemist named Fritz Haber. He is best known for inventing the Haber-Bosch process that synthesizes ammonia from nitrogen gas and hydrogen gas, which aids in synthesizing fertilizers. This invention is used in global food production and supports nearly half of the world's population. However, this isn't Haber's only life changing invention. During World War I, Haber signed the Manifesto of the 93, in which he and other German scientists and scholars declared their support of the German military. Haber developed and weaponized poisonous gases to be used in trench warfare, as well as the gas masks and filters to protect against them. The Germans first used their chemical weapons in Belgium in 1915 at the Second Battle of Ypres, releasing 168 tons of chlorine gas. From then on, Haber and his team continued to experiment and further develop their chemicals to make them more effective. These efforts were later continued in America, where they developed a gas that released irritants, making soldiers take off their masks and to be exposed to the gas. There is no doubt about these chemical weapons would be much stronger and more fatal had they continued being developed. In 1992, a treaty was drafted named the Chemical Weapons Convention and was enacted in 1997. Thankfully, most countries have agreed to destroy their chemical weapons. The most commonly used chemical weapons are chlorine gas, nerve agents, resin, levisite, and mustard gas. Chemical warfare paralyze the respiratory muscles and inhibit the respiratory system, often killing the victim. Some may cause an increased risk of developing cancer. By wearing a gas mask and protective clothing, closing doors and windows, and turning off ventilation furnaces and air conditioners, one can protect yourself against chemical weapons. So take the day to grieve and pay tribute to the victims of chemical warfare. Keep their memory alive by continuing to talk about them and share their stories. Talk to those around you about the effects of chemical warfare and share posts on social media to keep everyone informed. Remind them of what work is to be done. Spread awareness, talk to those around you about the effects of chemical warfare. Donate to SaveTheChildren.org to help victims in Syria against chemical attacks. You can also donate to icanw.org/donate to aid in passing a treaty to stop nuclear weapons. Nearly 1 lakh people died from chemical weapons in the World War I. Since then, there have been nearly 1 million deaths. Some countries still have chemical weapons. Egypt, Israel, North Korea, and South Sudan did not sign the treaty and may possess chemical weapons. But UN Despite having destroyed their chemical weapons, some countries are illegally using chemical warfare, and there is still much work to be done to ensure this doesn't continue happening. Chemical warfare is extremely damaging to all organic life. It can contaminate the soil and remain toxic for years. Despite Germany having developed many types of chemical weapons, Hitler refused to use them, knowing the enemy would respond by using them as well. So they aid in nothing but destruction. So this day allows those who have lost people to chemical warfare to mourn and honor their lives, whether soldiers or citizens. It serves as a reminder of how cruel war can be. This day reminds us of how much progress was made in life, saving the lives of future generations. It's also remedial. It's important to remember that chemical weapons are against international law and are inhumane. This is one step taken to establish peace, and UN is continuing to make similar efforts to protect people. Today, we are also commemorating Cities for Life Day, which falls annually on November 30th. We recognize the right of every human being to live. The day observed by cities around the world commemorates the first abolishment of death penalty. The concept of the abolishment of capital punishment was first mentioned in a 1764 treatise written by Caesar Beccaria, in which he argued against the death penalty as a punishment. There is one thing no force on earth can take away from each of us, and that is our right to live. That was, however, not the case in our justice system when the death penalty was established. This brash criminal punishment is as old as human civilization, and the more popular than we would like to admit. So that was until Caesar Beccaria, one of the greatest European Enlightenment writers of the time, had something to say about it. He is noticed for his masterpiece on criminal law and the reform system on crimes and punishments. So that was until Caesar Beccaria, one of the greatest European Enlightenment writers of the time, had something to say about it. He is noted for his masterpiece on criminal law and the reform system on crimes and punishments. which he published in 1764. In fact, the work is so notable that it has so Beccaria put forth some of the first modern arguments against the death penalty, which made it in first full-scale work to tackle criminal reform and to suggest that criminal justice should comply with rational principles. Beccaria also argued against torture, believing it was cruel and unnecessary to treat any other human being in such a way. As a conscience in 2002, in the memory of his death anniversary, the community of Sant Edigio, a Christian organization, began promoting the Cities for Life Day worldwide with the support of international human rights organizations. Since then, the death penalty has become less and less common in the world at large. As on March 24, 2021, capital punishment is still legal in 27 US states. The US takes a spot behind China, Iraq, Saudi Arabia for the most executors in the world as of 2019, sitting ahead of Yemen and Sudan. 60% of adults are in support. 6 in 10 US adults strongly or somewhat favor the death penalty for the convenience. There was 29% decline of the people on death row between 2000 and 2019, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, BJS, and death sentences have decreased. In the past, methods of execution included electrocution, crucifixion, hanging, beheading, etc. And in the past, methods of execution included electrocution, crucifixion, hanging, beheading, etc. And they were chosen based on the severity of the crime. So criminals were sentenced based on their crimes. The right to live is simply human. It is unjust to put the power to kill someone in someone else's hands, regardless of the crime. A day like Today, we are also commemorating Celebrate Shelter Pets Day in US, which is on the first Thursday after Thanksgiving. This year it takes place on November 30th. The day brings awareness to pets such as dogs and cats that are in shelters. A lot of love, and a lot of people often think of adopting a pet from shelter home, but they don't always follow through that thought because they think there is something wrong with shelter pets. They were wrong. Most people who have adopted shelter pets can testify that shelter groups are full of great pets that provide companionship. There are unfortunately some pets in the shelter that are deemed unadoptable because of their fear, perceived aggression, or anxiety. But even these issues can be managed if addressed properly. Celebrate Shelter Pets Day started in 2010 as a collaborative effort among the Humane Society of the US and the Additional Council and Maddie's Fund. The event, which started on Facebook, was called Shelter Pets Takeover Facebook Day, has grown to include all social platforms, and over 100 pets and their owners are now involved. Founded in 1954, the Humane Society of the United States, HSUS in short, fights the big fights to end suffering for all animals. Together with millions of supporters, the HSUS takes on puppy mills, factory farms with fur trade, trophy hunting, animal cosmetics testing, and other cruel industries. Through its rescue, response, and sanctuary work, all as well as the other hands on animal care services, the HSUS helps thousands of animals every year. The HSUS fights all forms of animal cruelty to achieve the vision behind its name, a humane society. Maddie's Fund is a family foundation established in 1994 by Dave and Cheryl Duffel and is a fulfillment of a promise to an inspirational dog, Maddie. She provided them much joy over 10 years and continues to inspire them today. The foundation has awarded over $265 million in grants towards increased community life saving, pioneering shelter medicine education, and establishing foster care as a standard across the US. Maddie's Fund proudly offers the industry a national voice, important funding opportunities for bold ideas, learning resources, and access to collaborate and share innovative solutions. The foundation invests its resources in a commitment to keep pets and people together, creating a safety net of care for animals in need and operating with a culture of inclusiveness and humanity. So, shelters often rely on donations to feed and care for their pets, and sometimes they run on a tight budget. Money, though, is not the only way to show support. You can donate supplies such as food, litter, or toys. A good way to observe Celebrate Shelter's Pet Day is to adopt a pet from a shelter. Adopting a pet is a lifetime commitment that requires planning. Once you have made plans and are ready to make that pet a part of your family, don't hesitate to go for it. If you are if you have already have a pet that you adopted from a shelter, then today would be a good day to spoil them with treats. You can get them treats, a new bed, or anything you think would brighten up their day. Here are some facts about dogs. Their noise is better than ours. A dog's sense of smell is 40 times better than a human's. Some dogs run so fast that they could beat a cheetah. Dogs don't sweat like us, they instead produce an oily substance undetectable to the naked eye. A dog could be left pawed or right pawed. Dogs have a dominant paw. A dog can hear sounds at higher frequencies than humans. Their hearing is very sensitive. A day dedicated to celebrating animals is a day to love. Animals are our companions, and even though they can't talk, a lot of people would be lonely without them. Shelter pets are more popular now than they ever were, but they still need all the publicity that they can get. So this day focuses on and increases awareness about these special animals. The more popular shelter pets get, the higher rate of adoption. Most people are reluctant to adopt shelter pets because they think something is wrong with the pets there, but this day will serve to reduce the stigma associated with the shelter pets. Today is also commemorated as Barbados Independence Day in Barbados, which is celebrated on November 30 every year. The day commemorates the island's country independence from Britain after over 360 years as a British colony. Barbados Independence Day is marked by the lighting of the Parliament buildings and office buildings throughout Bridgeton town. Roundabouts on the highways of Barbados are also lit up, creating a spectacular view at night. Celebrations run throughout November and include highlights such as community independence celebrations, arts and sports competitions, social events, and religious services. The National Day is a public day when schools, business offices are closed, but if November 30 falls on a weekend, the next Monday will be a public holiday. On November 30, 1966, Barbados became an independent state with the passing of Barbados Independence Act 1966 by the United Kingdom's Parliament. Errol Barrow became the first Prime Minister of independent Barbados and devoted his tenure to expanding the country's tourism sector as a means of reducing the island's sole dependence on sugar exports. He also extended the free education initiative to all levels and introduced national health insurance and social security policies. Despite Barbados' independence from Britain, the island retained the British monarch as the head of the state, represented by the Governor General until 2021. On November 30, 2021, Barbados became a republic and replaced Queen Elizabeth II with President Sandra Mason. Barbados is known for having some of the most alluring beaches in the world, and the island country welcomes thousands of tourists every year. In terms of economy, sugarcane is the country's largest export. Native Barbadians also refer to themselves as Bajans. Descendants of the Aboriginal Arawak tribes on the local islands claim the original name for Barbados was Ichuriuganim. Barbados celebrated its 55th independence anniversary in 2021, and the government announced on September 15, 2020, that it intended to become a republic by November 30, 2021. Independence celebrations run throughout November and include sports competitions, fairs, community events, and religious services. On Independence Day, Grand Parade is held usually at the Garrison Savannah, the site of original Independence Day ceremony in 1966. So take a moment to reflect on the selfless sacrifice made by various individuals who risked their lives for the freedom and liberation of Barbados. These people are the real heroes deserving national recognition. So the name Barbados is derived from the bearded fig trees once found in abundance on the island. Pop star Rihanna was born in Barbados and she frequently visits the island. Tiger Woods got married on the beautiful island in 2004, hosting lots of celebrity guests, including Michael Jordan. Barbados not only produces the world's oldest rum, but it is also home to over 1,500 rum shops located all over the island. The national sport of Barbados is cricket, and you can watch an exciting match at Kennington Oval, their local stadium. The National Independence Festival of Creative Arts, NIFCA, is another highlight of the Barbados Independence Day celebrations. Running throughout November, the festival showcases the artistic talents of Barbadians through music, dance, drama, writing, photography, and arts and crafts. Today is also commemorated as Perpetual Youth Day in US, which is celebrated annually on November 30 to mark the birthday of one of the greatest television presenters and pioneers of rock and roll music, Dick Clark. His show American Bandstand was on air for over 30 years, becoming the most sought after show by youth across the country and the stepping stone for many great artists we have now come to know and love. This American icon paved the way for racially inclusive TV shows and helped people fall in love with rock and roll. Perpetual Youth Day is celebrated in recognition of Clark's success and his impact on the youth over the years. Contrary to what its name may suggest, Perpetual Youth Day goes beyond a celebration of the youth in our society. This day honors a great television presenter, actor, producer, cultural icon, and also a rock and roll pioneer that changed the game for many renowned musicians and touched the lives of teenagers worldwide. Dick Clark was an American radio and television personality who graced our screens from the mid to late 20th century. He dedicated his time and skills to providing premium and inclusive television shows to the general public, specifically the youth. Dick was not always his name. However, he was born Richard Wagstaff Clark in Bronxville, in New York on November 30, 1929. Richard took on the Dick Clark personality and the name once he moved to Philadelphia in 1952, and 4 years later he became the permanent host of the show, Bob Hone's Bandstand, which eventually became as American Bandstand. Through the show, Dick Clark was able to introduce rock and roll to many Americans and also expose the likes of Ike and Tina Turner, Madonna, Stevie Wonder, and many renowned artists to the world. American Bandstand was one of the first racially inclusive shows to hit the big screens and is also the longest running variety show in TV history. Dick Clark was a pioneer for rock and roll at a time when the world was not at all accepting of now popular genre. He was considered to be the world's oldest teenager due to his unmatched connection with his teenage audience. And as of 1990, over two-thirds of the people who had been initiated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame had their first television debut on this show. Clark was star of other shows beyond Bandstand, such as Pyramid Game Show and Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. Perpetual Youth Day is celebrated annually on his birthday to honor his memory and legacy. In 1987, ABC officially cancelled American Bandstand after a disagreement ensued between Clark and the production company to shorten the hour-long show to 30 minutes. This decision was made by ABC due to a decline in ratings caused by the change in the music industry. Bob Horn was the previous host of Bandstand show and it was known as Bob Horn's bandstand. He was, however, fired in 1956 on the case of being arrested for a drunk driving incident, after which he was replaced by Dick Clark. The regular performance on the show were Kenny Rossi, Arlene Sullivan, Bunny Gibson, Eddie Kelly, Pat Molterri, Carmen Jimenez, and Joyce Schaffer. Today is also commemorated as Native Women's Equals Pay Day in US, which marks the day that Native women needed to work until they made what white men made in the previous year. In other words, it takes Native women 21 months to earn what the white men earn in 12 months due to their disparity in pay. This is an important issue to highlight, and this day brings it to the light by spreading awareness about the inequality of pay for women. This holiday encourages us to raise awareness on such a topic and recognize the numerous struggles that women face. Wage gaps in terms of gender and race have been around since the beginning of civilization. It wasn't until the 1860s that public raised their voice against the disparity in the US under the rallying cry of equal pay for equal work. This was spearheaded by women's rights activists Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who made a case for bridging the wage gap in their newspaper. The revolution and the speeches such as the power of the ballot to bring women equal pay for equal work. With the adoption of the Equal Pay Act in 1963, the next significant attempt to fix the disparity on a national level came 2 decades later. It was made illegal for business to pay male and female employees different wages for jobs that require equal ability, effort, and responsibility and performed under identical working conditions. It did, however, allow for a few exceptions, such as compensation packages based on seniority or merit. When President John F. Kennedy signed the bill into law, he stated that paying men and women different rates for the same work was an unconscionable practice, noting that the average woman worker gets barely 60% of the average wage for men. A year later, in 1964, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act was enacted, making it illegal to make judgments based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. However, gender and race disparity in pay has persisted in society and is larger for certain groups than others. Native women make 60 cents for every dollar made by white men. They have to put in additional 9 months of work to earn what a white man does in a year. This inequality needs to be brought to the forefront, and awareness is the first step to it. And September 8 of every year is dedicated to being Native Women's Equal Pay Day. In US, on average, women are paid 18% less than men. Gender income gap is smaller in middle income countries. There is a wage disparity when it comes to race, gender, ethnicity, and so on in many different forms. So support organizations, donate to fundraisers, sign petitions, and try to capture attention of your local political leaders to bring this issue to their attention. Advocate for equal pay and urge for call to action. If it wasn't for the gap, Native women would be able to afford 32 more months of childcare every year. All countries have some form of wage gap where men are paid more than women. The gap widens for the Native women who have more advanced degrees, and it gets worse. The gender pay gap doesn't describe discrimination, which is also an area of concern. It doesn't show the entire picture. Over the last decade, there has been an increase in awareness as well as measures taken to address the issue, and it's getting better. To take any action, awareness is the first step. The right people and the right organizations will only rectify the disparity once they are aware of the issue faced by Native women, and this day is perfect way to do so. There are innumerable issues faced by certain groups of society that we are unaware of it. It is through these days and initiatives that those issues come to light and action can be taken to move forward. To be discriminated against and treated unequally based on race, gender, and ethnicity is unfortunately an issue that persists. Everyone deserves to be treated equally, and we need to take a stand. Today is also commemorated as National Stay at Home because you are well today, well day in US. This day was created by Thomas and Ruth Roy of Wellcat Holidays and Herbs, encourages us to take the day off rest and recuperate from our busy work schedules, and not just because we are ill or need to fake an illness to get a personal time off. Over the years, our work lives have increasingly grown busy with the invention of so many work tools to keep us in check, and it's hard to maintain a healthy work-life balance. A lot of us are usually overworked, stressed, and can't seem to find time for ourselves away from our busy schedules. National Stay at Home because you are well day was created to solve this problem. Almost all of us are guilty of searching for excuses to stay away from work, and this day urges us to stop all the faking and simply stay home because we are in the need of some time off. Thomas Roy is an American film, television, and voice actor and is married to Ruth Roy. Together, they have created several holidays under the name of Wellcat Holidays, simply because they felt they needed more fun and creative ways to celebrate the days of the year. Back in the late 80s, Thomas came up with his first copyrighted holiday, Northern Hemisphere Hootie Hoo Day, which asked citizens to go outdoors and yell Hootie Hoo at high noon to chase winter and make ready for the spring. Since then, they have had over 80 registered quirky days, some of which have been featured in USA Today, the Los Angeles Times, and many other publications, televisions, and shows. The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines a well day as a day characterized by one's freedom and from sickness. In short, it is a day to spend celebrating being well. A stay at home day is just a day. You do not leave the house, spend it doing whatever you enjoy doing, whether that's watching a movie marathon or baking a cake or anything you love to do at home. Whatever your hobbies are, today will be the best time to practice them. Are you a bookworm or do you enjoy binge watching? Whatever your preference is, today is the perfect time to do things that make you happy. With all the work going on in our daily lives, it's hard to find time to work on skills, crafts, or passion projects. Today is your opportunity to prioritize these and enhance them. In Nevada, you don't need a reason. The Nevada paid time off law allows employees to take time off without providing any reason to their employer. Many jurisdictions require an employee to have been employed for 90 days before being able to take leave. In Vermont, there is 1 year wait period. Washington, D.C. and Connecticut have expanded the use of paid family and medical leave to include qualifying military events related to an active duty family member. In Emeryville, California, you can use paid sick leave to care for a service dog. Although factors may vary, Maine, Nevada, and Bernalillo County, New Mexico allow employees to take paid leave for any reason. There is so much we push aside just because we never have the time. This day gives us an opportunity to visit those things and grow our love for hobbies accordingly. Today is also commemorated as National Personal Space Day in US to honor and respect the need for personal space. Established by public health specialist Carol Winner in 2019, the day reminds us the boundaries are good and must be maintained in a civil society. Advocating for our boundaries is not easy, but is an important factor that contributes to our healing. In our culture of a warm embrace and physical advances, declining a kiss or handshake is considered to be impolite. This does not consider that some people would rather not be touched. If you have never been able to state your objection to unwelcome hugs and unsolicited shoulder taps, then National Personal Space Day is for you. It is an initiative of the For the Love of Peace Foundation. The foundation was established by public health specialist Carol Winner in 2015. Winner's life experience shaped her thinking and motivated her to establish a day that highlights the importance of respecting people and their personal space. In 1977, the diagnosis of her mother's cancer struck a jolt in the life of then 17-year-old Winner. Losing her father just years before put her in double jeopardy. She became the sole caretaker of her mother in and out of hospital for weeks. Winner witnessed the lives of patients and difficulties they face in accomplishing day-to-day tasks. Winner spent the next 40 years of her life taking care of her chronically ill mother, who remained vulnerable to infections due to declined immunity. As people would come to greet her mother, they would immediately jump to embrace her or kiss her. This caused her great discomfort. Even in trenches, her mother could never decline a physical advance, which troubled Winner. Soon enough, Winner began providing a haven for her mother and took charge of her isolation. This experience motivated Winner to raise awareness about the need for personal space in our lives. In 2015, Winner quit her corporate job and established For the Love of Peace. It is a foundation dedicated to raising awareness about the need for space. With the foundation, Winner aims to change the way we show care. It aims to spread the message that distance can be good and it saves lives. So make eye contact, smile, and say hi with a slight nod. Never presume to establish physical touch or wave to strangers as it is considered impolite. You cannot sue someone for getting into your face. However, there are varying degrees of personal invasion that can count as harassment pertinent to state and local laws. So there are many benefits keeping our distance. A smile conceals. You have no idea what people are going through. So the best thing you can do is to respect their personal space and maintain distance and smile. Oftentimes, even the patient do not have the full knowledge of a virus and its ramifications, and viruses are unpredictable. Although hugs and kisses are well intentioned, our germs can be deadly. It is a germ filled world. It is better to miss out on a hug than to regret unintentionally passing down a virus. Prevention is better than cure. While everyone has a different culture of greeting, a courteous distance is better for everyone. It is common courtesy. Many people struggle with sensitivities, germophobia, and many other issues. These can remain hidden under their polite behavior and composed smiles. So this day brings to light the regard and recognition that they need and they deserve. Oftentimes we forget that the habits we are accustomed to are not universal. Hygiene is deeply personal and subjective. The regard for people's culture and preferences can come at a cost of challenging our beliefs. Are you ready for it? Today is also commemorated as Meth Awareness Day in US, which is an important observance on November 30. Methamphetamine, or meth for short, is a potential central nervous system stimulant that negatively affects lives of 1 out of 6 young Americans every day. This day was instituted by President George W. Bush in 2006 to help current users get the help they need and also educate public about the adverse effects of this drug. This highly addictive drug is well known for creating a ruckus in people's lives. Therefore, on this awareness day, the aim is to provide education and help to those who need it the most. You may know it as a crystal meth or meth or for short, but either way, you have most likely heard about, used, or know someone who uses this very addictive drug. Methamphetamine is a drug that affects the lives of hundreds of thousands of people each year. The effects of this drug can lead to severe brain damage or worse, death. That is why it is important to raise awareness about it to help those struggling to overcome their meth addiction. If you don't already know, methamphetamine is a potent central nervous system stimulant that increases the amount of dopamine in the brain, causing an increase in alertness, energy, concentration, and an overall happier mood. These effects are what make this drug so addictive. However, overuse of meth can lead to seizures, psychosis, and violent behavior. Parent categories of methamphetamine were discovered by German scientists in the late 1880s, but the drug itself was not synthesized until 1893 by Japanese chemist Nagai Nagoshi. It began being mass produced and marketed under different brands in the mid 1900s. One of those brands was Pervitin, which was given to soldiers in World War II to increase alertness until its usage was cut down to doctors' prescriptions only by 1941. After the war, the drug was majorly used to treat conditions such as obesity, depression, and ADHD. However, it later became a recreational drug used to stay awake for its euphoric and aphrodisiac qualities. After consistent abuse, the US government made it illegal in 1975. So, National Methamphetamine Awareness Day was signed off in the proclamation by President George W. Bush in 2006, and the November 30 became the annual day for its observance. It aims at reaching potential users with help and preventive methods, and also to increase overall public awareness of the deadly effects of the drug. Yaba tablets are the tablets that contain a mixture of methamphetamine and caffeine and are consumed orally. Methamphetamine hydrochloride is a hydrochloride salt form of methamphetamine with the same stimulating properties as methamphetamine. The state with the highest cases of meth usage is Michigan, followed closely by the New York in US. Long-term use of meth can lead to permanent brain damage, high blood pressure, severe dental problems, liver and kidney damage, and insomnia. Illegally manufactured meth is made by combining ephedrine or pseudoephedrine with other chemicals that are mostly poisonous or highly inflammable. So the most important thing you can do on this day is to raise awareness of the ill effects of the harmful drug and discuss the statistics, effects, signs, and symptoms of this drug, and also possible forms of rehabilitation for current users. If your loved one or someone you know is a meth addict, you can help them find their way out of addiction. First, you need to do research, the science of meth addiction. Therapist directories like Psychology Today can also provide you with a list of local treatment providers. You can also do research on Google for addiction therapists near you. Once you start the process of assisting them to recover, ensure you stick to the end to avoid relapse. To spot a meth user or addict, you will need to look for specific signs. Some of these signs include talkativeness, shaking hands, grinding teeth, itching, and paranoia, amongst many others. Take time out today to learn these signs and educate loved ones so that they also become knowledgeable and can easily identify them. Knowing the signs means you are alert and can actively take action to help meth addicts in whatever way possible. Methamphetamine does not only come in crystal form but can also be powder or tablets. It comes in different forms. People between ages of 18 and 25 years are more likely to use addictive drugs and is a susceptible age group. Shan State in Asia is the world's leading manufacturer of methamphetamine, and most production happens in Asia. Meth goes by many names, some of which are blue, crystal, ice, meth, and speed, and it has many names. There are over 12.3 million meth users in the world, over 5 lakhs of which are regular users, and the statistics are staggering. Users and their families often suffer a lot of stigma due to the addiction of this drug. This day provides much needed support to those affected directly or indirectly by the effects of this drug. This day is not only targeted at raising general awareness of this drug, but also providing rehabilitation methods for the addicts as well. There are events held across the country on this day that could be of help to those in need, provided by related institutions and rehab centers. This can help bring people to initiate their rehabilitation journey and possibly save a life. Today is also commemorated as Mindanao Week of Peace in Philippines. From last Thursday in November to the first Wednesday of December, this year it takes place from November 30 to it is a week-long celebration to recognize the dream of Mindanaons to live in peace, unity, and harmony with each other, regardless of status in life, religion, or culture. Mindanao is the second largest island in the Philippines. It is the southern region of the archipelago. The people of Mindanao are peace-loving community and belong to different religions and cultures. The week aims to bring them all together for one purpose and promote a peaceful atmosphere throughout the community. History is full of conflicts, fights, and sacrifices. There is hardly any country or civilization that has never tasted violence. Mindanao experienced her share of conflicts and bloodshed and entered history books 10,000 years ago. Mindano's island is part of island group of the same name. As of 2015 census, it has an estimated 25 lakhs 700,000 residents. It is a mountainous island situated between four seas, namely the Sulu Sea, the Philippine Sea, the Celebes Sea, and the Mindanao Sea. The region witnessed the spread of Austronesian people throughout the Philippines, the migration of Hindu and Buddhist influences, the emergence of sultanates, and the development of Islam, Spanish colonization, and Christian settlements. Thanks to the rich history, Mindanao has become a pool of different religions and cultures. But every melting pot has a weakness. This is true for Mindanao as clashes between communities were common and peace was never a reality for them. In 2001, President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo started the annual celebration of Mindanao Peace Week, Proclamation Order number 127, issued by the former president, recognized the common aspirations of Mindanians to live in peace, unity, and harmony with each other, regardless of status in life, religion, or culture. Peace is never easy in a place that has great diversity, but peace advocates Zambonga, PAZ, and Salam Foundation took this challenge by creating Muslim-Christian cooperation to support this peace in households. As the major conflict is always between Muslims and Christians across the world has witnessed. World peace is important because it can increase the happiness of people and decrease the importance of political borders and cultural differences. It can help people understand each other and create a better world. With proper use of resources plus careful planning and controlling propaganda, excellent resource planning and electing wise leaders, peace is possible for us. Peace comes from a sense of completion without ill will towards others. It comes with the acceptance of a situation and understanding of others, being free of persecution, loved by family and community, having basic needs met can contribute to individual peace. When a country has a peace-loving population, it gradually becomes a peaceful country. So we can observe this week in various ways, like arranging a workshop to foster peace between various communities, trying to bring communities to this workshop, especially those at odds with each other, organize art competitions, call in people from different backgrounds, cultures, and communities under one umbrella, create a cultural art competition and award prizes to the top performers. And nothing can foster peace better than joint activities where people can interact and coordinate, create a service group to volunteer for social activities, and let the magic work. Most regions of the world are more peaceful than they have been for generations in the century. More people are looking for harmony compared to the individuals seeking the conflict. An international law made in 1945 prohibits nations from having aggressive wars. Some studies show more gender equal societies are less likely to wage aggressive wars. A general rule is that societies become wealthier, they become less likely to experience civil war. Peace is something that we all love. Any activity or day to foster peace is a welcome sight, and we love to be part of such activities. Social gatherings can help people understand each other better and put aside their differences. Mindanao Peace Week creates an opportunity to create a better society. Conflicts are fewer when there are strong bonds between people. This week can help people from different backgrounds put aside their differences and join hands for a greater purpose, that is peace. Today is also commemorated as National Computer Security Day in US, as cybersecurity affects everything from where we bank and how we spend our money to whom we elect to public office. We certainly don't want to replay of My Doom, the worst email virus in the history, which caused $38.5 billion in damage. So let's get educated on staying safe online. It seems like every day we hear about breaches in cybersecurity. Keeping people and companies safe online is a top priority all over the world. It is something that stays uppermost in our minds on National Computer Security Day. The story of National Computer Security Day is an interesting. On November 2nd, 1988, Cornell University researchers uncovered an unknown virus lurking in their computer systems. Within 4 hours of discovery, the Morris worm virus invaded several other university systems, as well as the ARPANET and an early version of today's internet. 6 days later, 2 computer experts with the US Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, recommended assembling a National Computer Infection Action Team, NCAT, to respond 24/7, 365 days to these kinds of attacks. On November 14th, the Software Engineering Institute, SEI, a research center connected with Carnegie Mellon University, set up the Computer Emergency Response Team, in short known as CERT. In 1988, the National Computer Security Day sprang out of Washington, D.C., chapter of the Association for Computing Machinery, ACM in short, Special Interest Group on Security, Audit and Control, as a way to raise awareness about cyber crimes and virus. According to a 2004 NetWorld article, November 30 was chosen for the CSD so that attention on computer security would remain high during the holiday season, when people are typically more focused on the busy shopping season than thwarting security threats. By 2003, CERT and the US Department of Homeland Security joined forces to create the National Cyber Awareness System. Whether we are talking about National Computer Security Day or National Cyber Security Awareness Month, which was also in October, the goals are essentially the same. Each person must be proactive to protect their online security. Use this month to find out all you can about common sense ways to stay safe in cyberspace. The number of cyber attacks per day in 2018 was more than 80,000. The percentage of all files that are not protected in any way is more than 21%. The percentage of companies with over 1,000 sensitive files left unprotected is more than 41%. The percentage of organizations that believe their security risk increased significantly in 2017 was more than 70%. The percentage of organizations that don't believe computer security threats can be blocked by antivirus software is more than 69%. The percentage of security risk that stems from having multiple security vendors and products is more than 50%. The number of organizations that say their security risk increased significantly in 2017 was 7 out of 10. The percentage of companies that have over 500 users who are never prompted to change their passwords was more than 65%. The percentage growth of ransom attacks was more than 350%. The percentage increase in IoT attacks in 2017 was more than 600%. The percentage of business breached in 2017 with under 1,000 employees was more than 61%. So, cybersecurity awareness means taking a proactive approach to protecting your identity and your assets online. Cybersecurity awareness training gives employees good and practical rules for the road of the road for keeping corporate information technology safe on the job. By keeping the training brief and to the point, as well as suggesting things employees should do themselves to reduce human errors, you can create an effective program. Create a strong password. Lucky for you, we got some tips in computer security. Length matters. Passwords that are 6 characters are easier to hack, especially if they are only made up of lowercase letters. To beef up your password, weave a 9-character combination of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, symbols, and numbers. Lastly, avoid using the same password for every account. Update spyware and malware protection software, including antivirus or internet security software. First, check to see if your operating system is up to date. If that's set, update your protection software, run a scan, and don't forget to invite your other devices to the party. Phones and tablets are also major security risks, so be diligent. Encrypt your data to create brainiest of all brain teasers. But keep this in mind, even the best brain teaser can be cracked. That's why it is still important to back up your info on either the cloud or an external hard drive. Just make sure that everything stays encrypted. Human intelligence is the best defense against phishing attacks. Most companies take 6 months to detect a data breach, and it's usually too late. Share prices fall 7.27% on average after a data breach. Small to medium business are just as prone to data breaches as large corporations. Small businesses aren't safe either. Employees who do not allow or do not follow guidelines have become the top barrier to IT security, which is a crucial factor. Whether it's a bank account or pics that should never have been taken, your personal life is well personal. This day is a reminder that we deserve to have our privacy protected and we can't rely on programmers alone to do the job. Regularly updating antivirus software, using strong passwords, and encrypting data are all measures we can take on our own. Make sure your records of the bad old days stay in your memories, not in strangers' newsfeed. It reminds us the virus spread. If you link an infected device to someone else's device, you put their security at risk. From there, it doesn't take much to compromise an entire network. It reinforces that our security issues affect others. Security systems engineers are unsung heroes. Staying one step ahead of hackers is challenging, especially when technology changes so quickly. Computer Security Day is the perfect time to show your appreciation for the work of these professional hacker fighters. Today is also commemorated as National Messenger Day. Messengers have been Mason jars have been popular for decades. They were originally invented with a patented screw top that allowed people to safely can and pickle fruits and vegetables grown in garden. Today, we also use them for drinking glasses, vases, and even candle holders. Large mason jars are most helpful for pickling or canning bigger fruits and vegetables, but have also been made into drink dispensers and piggy banks. Medium mason jars are perfect for drinking purpose and make an easy anti-spill travel mug. Small mason jars are great for storing and carrying salad dressings or small snacks, or arranged with tea lights inside them as candle holders. Mason jars are sturdy. Mason jars are made of thick glass and that does not break easily. And the uniform necks of the jars means that you can screw on any lid and ring. While the band and the jar can be used over and over again, be sure to replace the small metal lid after each use if you are pickling. Today is also commemorated as National Mississippi Day in US, dedicated to honoring the great state of Mississippi, which was the 20th state to join the Union of United States, which had a great influence on the music industry and also has a historical relevance in the civil rights movement. It helped to influence the resolutions of interracial conflicts. The state is named after the Mississippi River, which flows through its western boundary. The river is one of the most iconic US landmarks. It is also a fun addition to spelling games. The Mississippi is home to many people who are proud of their state and are happy to celebrate. So the word Mississippi was coined by Ojibwa tribe. It was derived from the native word for the river, which was Mississippi, meaning big river. Mississippi is a small state compared to the most states in the US. Forests constitute about 63% of the state's land area. This amounts to about 19.4 million acres of land. The state has produced many successful artists. You can read books, recognized Mississippian authors, and listen to music from Mississippian musicians. Belzoni in Mississippi is considered to be the catfish capital of the world. The rarest crane in North America is the sandhill crane, which can be found in Jackson Country. Today is also commemorated as National Mousy Day. The word mousy is derived from the French. It means froth or foam. As the name suggests, the appetizer is made by beating egg whites and cream until they turn light and fluffy like foam. And it is most popularly served as dessert. Mousy can be also prepared as savory. Depending on the type of mousy, its consistency can vary from thick and creamy to light and airy. Originally prepared in France, mousy found its way into the US only in the late 19th century. We are also commemorating Guru Nanak Jayanti, who is also known as Guru Nanak Prakash Utsav, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji Jayanti celebrates the birth of first Sikh Guru. It is one of the most sacred festivals in Sikhism. In the Sikh faith, festivities revolve around the anniversaries of 10 Sikh Gurus. These Gurus were responsible for shaping the beliefs of the Sikhs. Their birthdays, known as Guru Purab, are occasions for celebration and prayer among the community. Guru Nanak Jayanti is marked with prayer processions, hymns, free sweets, martial arts, katka, as well as services to the community. The festival is celebrated on the day of Kartika Purnima, which is the 15th lunar day in the month of Kartik Masa, as per the Hindu calendar, and usually falls sometime in November or October, as per the Gregorian calendar. Guru Nanak Jayanti celebrations are generally similar for all Sikhs, only the hymns are different. The celebrations usually commence with the Prabhat ferries or early morning processions and that begin at Gurudwaras and proceed around the localities, singing hymns. Generally, 2 days before the birthday, Akhand Path, a 48-hour non-stop reading of the Guru Granth Sahib, the holy book of Sikhs, is held in the Gurudwaras. The day before the birthday, a procession referred to as Nagar Kirtan is organized. This procession is led by the Panch Pairas, 5 beloved ones. They head the procession carrying the Sikh flag known as the Nishan Sahib and the Palki, palanquin of Guru Granth Sahib. They are followed by teams of singers chanting hymns and devotees sing the chorus. There are brass bands playing different tunes and Gatka teams display the swordmanship through various martial arts and as mock battles using traditional weapons. The joyful procession passes through the streets decorated with flags and flowers, with the leader spreading the message of Guru Nanak. On April 15, 1469, Guru Nanak Dev Ji was born at Rai Boi Ki Talwandi near Lahore, which is the modern-day Sheikhpura district of Pakistan. A Gurudwara was built on his birthplace, and the city is also known as Nankana Sahib and is located in the Punjab province of Pakistan. Guru Nanak Dev Ji is regarded as a spiritual teacher who founded Sikhism in the 15th century. He started writing the Guru Granth Sahib and wrote 974 hymns in it. The main verses from the Guru Granth Sahib elaborate that the creator of the universe was one. His verse also propagates selfless service to humanity, prosperity, and social justice for all, irrespective of any demographic differences. Sikhism also forbids the concept of messengers and reincarnation. The role of a guru as spiritual and social master forms the base of Sikh religion. The Punjab government announced that it will install chairs dedicated to the great saint Guru Nanak in 11 universities to remember a saint in 2019. Guru Nanak dies at the age of 70, appointing Bhai Leena as his successor and renames him as Guru Angad in 1539. The Sikhism faith or Sikhism forms as a religion. The Sikh faith starts forming around 1500 CE when the Guru Nanak began teaching a faith that is quite distinct from Hinduism and Islam. 9 gurus followed Nanak and develops the Sikh faith and community over the coming centuries. Guru Nanak Purab or Guru Nanak Jayanti is celebrated as a day to remember the holy Guru, Guru Nanak, and is a reminder for followers of Sikhism to remember his teachings and overcome the 5 vices: lust, greed, attachment, anger, and pride, and devotes one life in the selfless service of God. Celebrations start 2 days prior to the Guru Nanak Jayanti in the Gurudwaras. Involve your children, friends, and families in preparing special delicacies, especially Kara Parshad, The delicacy is a type of whole wheat flour halwa made with equal portions of whole wheat flour, clarified butter, and sugar, which is distributed among neighbors and the pool in your locality. Make sure you join this charitable and beautiful event. Guru Nanak started going to school at the age of 7, and it is believed that he surprised his teacher by explaining to him the symbolism of the first letter of alphabet, which is a straight stroke in Persian or Arabic. It resembled the mathematical one as it symbolized the God being one and united. At the age of 18, Guru Nanak married Mata Sulakani and had two sons, Sri Chand and Lakshmi Chand. Guru Nanak's son Sri Chand became the founder of Udasi religion. At the age of 30, Guru Nanak had a vision. One day, Guru Nanak failed to return from his bath and his clothes were found on the bank of the stream. The locals thought he died. After 3 days, he returned back and he stayed silent. Later, he said that he had been taken to God's court where he was often offered a cup full of Amrit and was blessed. Guru Nanak said, "There is neither Hindu nor Muslim, so whose path shall I follow? I shall follow God's path. God is neither Hindu nor Muslim nor Christian, and the path which I follow is God's." So Guru Nanak traveled the world with the objective to spread the holy message. He traveled to Mecca, Tibet, Kashmir, Bengal, Manipur, Rome, etc. on foot with his Muslim companion and friend Bhai Mardana. Guru Nanak was known for his political, social, and spiritual beliefs, which were based on love, equality, fraternity, and virtue. He traveled to far-off places and spread the message of one God, that God constitutes the eternal truth and resides in his creations. This is a wonderful message to appreciate regardless of your beliefs on the day of Guru Nanak Jayanti. It reminds us of love. Martial arts skills are amazing. All Sikhs must carry a kirpan or a dagger as a mandatory article of faith. This makes it a duty for Sikhs to be able to defend the needy, suppressed ones, to defend righteousness and the freedom of expression. During Guru Nanak Jayanti, the Gatka teams also display their swordsmanship through various martial arts and as mock battles using traditional weapons. Guru Nanak Jayanti is a celebration of first Sikh Guru, Guru Nanak, who formed mostly what the religion is today. The holy festival reminds us to appreciate all our Sikh friends and family members and to learn about and respect their faith. If you look into what Sikhism is all about, the most important thing is the internal religious state of the individual. And the way to lead a good life is to keep God in heart and mind all times. These beautiful notions are the foundation of most of the world's religions. So it's a great way to connect one another with shared values. At the end of the day, we all are not so different from each other as human beings. So with this, we shall end the commemorations for the day. Thank you everyone for joining us on this wonderful occasion, and see you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night. Tomorrow is World's AIDS Day. If anyone is interested to make presentations, are welcome to register yourself as a presenter and share your details. So we request everyone before leaving the platform to quickly fill up the feedback form. So see you all tomorrow with the same link with different commemorations at 6 o'clock. Take care. Good night.